Joined now by our good friend Bob Kravitz from The Athletic, brought to you by Andy Mora Honda and Feast Market and Cellar. Make sure you get out and visit those fine folks. Bob Kravitz, how are you, sir?
I am doing fine, sir. How are you?
Cannot complain. Nobody wants to listen to it. I did get
I
out
found
and
that
play
to be true.
a few holes of golf yesterday, late in the day, and then went to the driving range and just hit a small bucket. First time this year, really. And then I walked inside and I noticed my left index finger was just hurting like heck. And I looked down and it was just swollen as hell. And I'm like, what did I just do?
You're getting
No
old,
idea.
man. Welcome to old
Exactly.
age. Welcome to old
Exactly.
age.
Just
Stuff
I
just
think from
starts to
swinging,
hurt.
I did something and it was all swollen. I was like, gee whiz. It is old
A
age,
guy
man.
with your swing, I would think, nothing bad could possibly happen with your swing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sweetness, baby. It's sweet.
It's poetry in motion.
Exactly. Yeah, Mike says you might be playing at noon, but you probably won't be finishing that round. We'll see. Hopefully you get
Yeah. We'll
storms and
see.
75 miles an hour winds predicted this evening. What the hell's that?
Well, I'm not playing tonight, so I don't give a crap.
Man, I didn't know that was on the way in.
They're expecting some real major windstorms and rain tonight. So, but it can't hurt you in a bar.
There you go, especially if you're one downstairs.
Yeah, exactly.
What else is going on with Bob Kravitz?
Well, not a hell of a lot. Just taking a lot of time off for medical stuff. But I'm starting. You and I had talked about that story. What the hell has happened to Indiana basketball? And I reached out to about 5-6 guys, and I'm putting that together for when I come back. And of course, the NBA draft lottery. I'm going to work on a story on the horrible lack of success that the Pacers have had throughout history at the top of the draft. You look at guys they've taken. I happen to have it right in front of me. Rick Roby was the third pick in '78 when they could have gone
Roby
after
from
Bird.
Kentucky.
From Kentucky was the third pick, and that was the year that the Celtics selected Larry Bird and were willing to wait a full year for Bird to,
I don't think
graduate.
people today really remember that very well, that he was drafted a full year before
Right.
he played.
Right.
The Celtics waited a year for him.
The Celtics waited a year, and, there was the question that whether Bird would sign with Indiana. You would think, being an Indiana kid, he probably would have, but at the time, Slick Leonard, our great friend, he was the GM, and he decided that the team just didn't have any money. They were working on a shoestring budget, excuse me, for all those years. And he decided that he couldn't risk losing, because they had the first pick in the draft, and they traded it and got with Portland, and they got the third pick in the draft. And guess who went sixth? Larry freaking Bird. But you look at it, 83, they took Stepanovic, who was terrible. 85 was the Patrick Ewing year. They ended up with Wayman Tisdale, who had a nice career, a very good career, but certainly not Patrick Ewing. 88, Rick Smith, who had a decent career, but not a superstar, not what you'd hope it to. And then the last time they had a single-digit draft choice was George McLeod at 7 in 1989, and he didn't amount to much of anything. And of course, in 1999, it wasn't their pick, but they traded with Toronto and got the 5th pick, and that was Jonathan Bender, who was he was Kevin Durant before Kevin Durant, but he couldn't stay healthy. So yeah, the Pacers have not had much luck at the top of the draft, and I'm going to write about that. So that's a very long answer to a simple question.
Can you imagine the difference Larry Bird would have made at IU and for the Pacers?
Oh,
had he stayed in Indiana instead of leaving, he would have been here in 77 and 78. He would have been here in 77 with Kent Benson, those two would have still been together.
Oh, they hated each other.
And then with the Pacers, that would have turned out.
Right,
But
right.
just the oddity of how, not that Indiana needed him, but it could have.
Yeah, they could have had several undefeated seasons. And then you think about it, if Bird had come here in say 70, 78, 79, then you look at well, I mean, they probably wouldn't have been a lottery team, but assuming if you guess that they were in 85, then you add Patrick Ewing quite possibly. But that's really not here nor there because I don't think a team with Larry Bird is ever going to be in a position to draft that high, in the annual grab bag. So, yeah, I mean, they've had a couple of shots at this, and they have had very, very bad luck in the lottery and even pre-lottery, like 78 and 83 with Roby and Stipo.
Yeah, not successful there, unfortunately. But they always play just well enough a lot of the times too that they don't get a great draft picks very often. They're always kind of in the middle of the road all the time.
Yeah, well, and
Always in the middle of the road.
that's always been one of my criticisms of Herb Simon is that Herb never wants to go through the pain of a full rebuild. Well, he's going through it now. I think he found out he has no choice, but because they tanked without really trying to tank. Um, but I mean, they've had incredible success picking, double digit picks. I mean, Danny Granger and Paul George was a 10, I believe, and Miles Turner was, a double digit pick. And they've done really well. Roy Hibbert is another guy they got through a deal, picking a little later in the first round. But yeah, the last time they had a single digit pick, and I don't include Bender in that because he was part of a trade, but it was George McLeod in 1989. So we're talking about 30, 33 years since the Indiana Pacers have had a single digit draft choice, and they better freaking get it right, or this team is going to be bad for a long time.